This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Thanks, everyone, for downloading the latest edition of Wanna Bet. I am the Doc, John Macaron joining me, my guy, Phil. Look, I didn't think you had a problem in the past, but when we go over the show on a Thursday afternoon when we record it, and you're like, bro, I don't know about the exact time just yet. I'm heading down to the casino at 9:30 in the morning. I'm like, what's going on here? It's Thursday. Everyone else is getting ready to do their thing. But you have the joy of being able to go down and play poker. How'd it go?
I actually thought better of it. I actually was played late last night. I bubbled the final table in a small event on Poker Stars, so on a PKO tournament. So I was sitting there. I drank my coffee. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna sit this one out. Maybe I'll go sometime during the week, dude. You can't really. You have to go early now just because all the restrictions and whatnot. You can't. If you wait till any time after like 11 o'clock, the waiting lists get pretty long, so you really can't get on. So I mean, I have to. If I'm going to go, I have to get down there early in order to get a spot and, have some time to play and whatnot. So,
Jeez. So tell me about the tournament. PKO, where did you finish? How did it play out? How much did you put in and how much did you win?
It was only $3. Like you said, Poker Stars is running a whole bunch of like wide range events and whatnot. It was just a $3 PKO. So every time I like busted somebody, more money got added to my knockout. I think I had like 7 or 8 knockouts. So like I got like, I don't know, like I ended up getting, I think like about $10 back in knockouts. Actually, it might've been more than that. But I finished in 10th. Like you said, they weren't paying too much. It was a pretty small tournament, but I busted with 8s against kings on the bubble. I had a guy in, I had the short stack in on the bubble with ace queen against deuces. He called it off with deuces. He hit a deuce on the turn. So I was drawing dead. But the play's actually been, from what I've seen, I played one of the $30 MI coups, and second hand in I had jacks and I busted against queens. So playing the sort of mid stakes events like later has been okay, but the playing the small buys has been just absolutely atrocious. Like, I mean, there's no understanding of like game theory or of like ICM or nothing. It's crazy, dude.
Wow. Well, jacks, man. You know what they say? If you got jacks, usually queens or kings are right behind. Online, I don't think this is news, Phil.
No, I know.
You got raised.
I know. I should have folded, but like so I bought in late because I was trying to. I've been trying to register a little late. Get about a 20 blind stack. And then either double or bust, because I mean by that time you're pretty close to the money. Like there was only like 110 people left when I bought in, and like 37 were getting paid. So I mean, I if I double there, like I'm most likely gonna cash. You know what I mean?
Yeah, look, cards is crazy, especially online, because it seems like it's so action-driven that there's always queens over kings, there's always flushes over straights, and it's just, especially in the cash games, you got to be aware of it because of the fact that it's just, the odds of it happening, I think, are a little bit more because it drives action, and it gets people, it boosts the rake and things like that. I'm surprised you actually still play because, you read it. Over the years, there's been a lot of scandal, especially with Russ Hamilton and the ability to potentially, if you go online and you search it, they show you exactly how hands have been manipulated, how the behind the scenes people kind of jacked up the system so that there was even situations where I think allegedly there were some scams where the programs allowed for other people to see other people's hands. So it made it so that it could be corrupted pretty easily. So it's fun. I think my personal opinion is that online poker, just for fun, I like the Zynga app that they got out there. It's real fun, build up chips, and you get to mess around and try to compete via Facebook. But throwing real money online poker, you got to trust it in these days, especially with big money. There's always room for corruption.
Yeah, I agree, but you know what? I literally bought in for $20. I had it up to like I'm still sitting at like $60. Like I got it up to $60. I'm not like that's the thing. I'm not gonna go like I know guys that have already dumped like 400 or 500 in, and like we're only a month in. So I mean, and to be honest with you, that really isn't that much. Especially, dude, they run 25, 50 6-handed games on Poker Stars. So I mean. There's a lot of money flowing around, but I'm not gonna. Once again, just me being risk averse, and you know, I'm gonna try and grind. I'm trying to satellite my way into one of these events. Like that's about it. I won't donate any more of my money, especially with some of the runs that I've seen in this shit. Like yesterday, I ran like gold, dude. I got ace jack in because I was short against 4 people and ace high won. So I mean, you know, like what are the chances of that? Like realistically, I'm up against king queen, king jack, and ace 8.
Wow.
And ace jack holds. You know what I mean? And that was it. Like I caught kings the next hand and busted somebody and was up to 30K, and then I just sat there and coasted. They said it's all like. Basically, you got to get one hand to like get up, like to get a decent stack, and then if you just play ABCs, especially with this poorly some of the play is, like you can grind down to the final table. But shit, my buddy finished second in the $50 M Coop on Sunday night. He put $50 in, and this dude held over him. Like the guy had aces against my buddy's ace queen. He had ace queen. The dude had ace queen against my buddy's 9. My buddy had to flop a set to hold that. I mean, the guy just like held over him the whole time. But I mean, my buddy played pretty good. So $2,000 second place in another PKO tournament. So that was Sunday the 20th. Yeah, Sunday the 20th.
Nice. See, it's always good, man. Poker's a fun game. It's just where you play it, the stakes that you're at. You got to be careful. It's a lot of sharks, man. Especially now, it's been over a decade of people analyzing hands. Everyone's aware that these young kids can simulate hands, whereas a guy like Doyle Brunson had to go to the casino to see it. Now these kids can multi-table and see as many as thousands and hundreds of thousands of hands per month, whereas these guys would take years. So it's amazing. The theories, like the theories you see now, are more advanced than they were even 5 years ago in terms of raising and the aggressiveness that you got to have and things like that. With before, you know, when we started, it was 3x guarantee. You open the pot. Now it's 2. Yeah. You know, now they've figured out that it's got to be between 2 and 2.5 to limit your exposure, which makes sense because you want to invest as little as you can to see the flop for maximum exposure. So. The game theories are great. And these young kids, there are a lot of math wizards like Phil trying to make it out here, and it's crazy. And it's good that you're in it. I like it. So you ran it up from $0 to $60. So you're on your journey in poker, doing your thing. Not yet successful on the biggest of stages, but you're getting there. You're working on your game. You're working on your game, and you're realizing, you know, a lesson that you probably should have learned 10 years ago. Jacks. You know, you gotta let it go. Let it go.
I know. Yeah, but you know what Lee said. And once again, I mean, I'm not a big I mean, I should probably if I want to seriously play, I should be doing more research. But like I got the betting, I got the certification class. Like, there's only so much time in the day. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So it sounded like your gambling week was similar to mine in that I tried the parlays. Absolute disaster, meaning that I couldn't hit even one end of any of the college parlays, but bet good. So I'm up like $20 on the week in terms of just betting Michigan and Michigan State. Took them both to win at halftime. They were leading, I think, and competitive in both. So I took them both, made some moves to cover the parlay bet. So I'm up, still making my way, trying to get back to even after the Conor McGregor fight, but taking it nice and slow, betting single games. I'm way better. Can't hit a parlay to save my life. It's just really tough because of the odds and things like that. I mean, I believe St. Louis VCU game was so sick because one of VCU's best player was out, and they grinded it out and got a last-second win, so that killed the parlay there. And I think that was the night that I took Michigan State and got back even. But the parlays for me are killer, but I'm good at single bets. Betting against the Pistons, betting against the Wings, betting with Michigan and Michigan State got me up a couple bucks this week in my betting, so it's good. I can see why people, man, I love to see the people trying to hit the 9 and 10 team parlays. They are so unbelievably tough, and some people are hitting them, but for low amounts. I see a lot of online, like 7 to win 200, things like that. Not seeing major scores yet, but for me, thankfully, at least single bets coming through, getting me back up, still in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I actually, and I sent you the pick of the one. I like, hey, 7 out of 2 covered. I was 7 and 2. So you know what I did? I started doing it like earlier this week. So if I'm betting now, I'm not going to bet I'm not going to bet all 9 games in the parlay, but like to sort of limit my exposure, I have been betting a few legs of the parlay, like especially depending on what I'm doing. I've been betting on the money line. So like Ohio, I bet on, what was it? The 23rd. So that was on Tuesday. I bet them on the money line, and that ended up covering. I came back and made a couple more bets on them on the 23rd. So that Tuesday. So that, that covered my one parlay. But I've been trying to, anytime I'm doing a parlay, I'm trying to take a look and see what I can do to, like, especially since I'm not probably going to be betting like what I normally do. Like, it's going to be a few bucks. So like I'm getting up to the point now where I'm betting $10 a game. So I've increased my unit size from 5 to 10 already. I mean, I'm sitting at even today, but I got $100 in bets out already. So
where are you at as of Thursday? What is in your bank account at DraftKings?
I've got 849.75 as of today.
849, but you got $100 in bets.
Yeah, at least. And I'll be honest, I'd have to go through, well, here, at least $100. But I mean, that's what I did yesterday. What was it? On the 24th, I bet probably about 17 games and I went 11-6. So Kent State losing outright to Ball State, like, started the day off absolutely terrible. Ball State's one of like the worst teams, like, in their division, and Kent State couldn't even cover on the money line. They lost outright. So, but I turned around and took Southern University and Alcorn State both on the money line, and that ended up getting me back to even on all three of those picks. And then I parlayed Alcorn State and Southern. So, like you said, I ended up making a little money, even though Kent State started the day off rough, and then I just went from there. So.
Okay, so on the 19 parlay, which 2 teams cost you?
So let me go. I got to get all the way back down to that. I noticed one thing. These I've got to get a little better at. I got to find a better way to start tracking these. But so this was on Tuesday, the 23rd. I had Ohio, Georgia State, Richmond, Villanova, Miami, Ohio, Penn State, and Buffalo all covered. I lost on San Diego State, and Virginia Tech got trounced by Georgia Tech, which once again shouldn't happen. The San Diego Pacific game, I was really, really on the fence about. That was the only one I was sort of worried about, but everything else I was pretty confident in. So I ran with it, but they said 7-2 sort of rough. He said if I dropped that San Diego game was the only one that was plus money too on the money line. So
okay, what did you give up? What could you have won if you hit?
I would have won like, what was it, like $500.
Okay, are you taking advantage of any of the boosts? I think they give a lot of 33%, 25% boost here and there. In terms of parlays and college basketball, they really want. DraftKings really does try to help and entice the bettors to get out there and try to throw down some bets and some action on some college basketball, eh?
Yeah. I actually, so last night, Wednesday night, there were some interesting things happening in the NBA. San Antonio had been off for a little while, so they came back, and I know OKC's not the greatest team, but OKC was only giving them 2. And then Cleveland was only giving up 3 to Houston, and Houston's like basically decimated. They literally have I think they had enough guys to like start the game. So I had but the boost that DraftKings provided was for 3 teams. So I took those 2, and then I looked at Toronto and Miami, and Toronto's been playing pretty good for the most part, even without Kyle Lowry. And they were getting 3, and Miami's been a little hit or miss. So what ended up happening is I took Toronto plus 3. So Cleveland crushed, and I covered that one. The very last shot of the San Antonio OKC game, Dort hits a 3, and I get the cover by a point. So I jump on the app real quick and see if they're giving me a cash out option, because Toronto was getting crushed. Toronto cuts it to 4. And I had a $25 bet. If the parlay would have won, I would have hit for 2.25. But I didn't trust it, so I cashed out and got $47 out of it.
Not too bad. Okay, and then you said at the moment of this recording, you got about $100 in bets. What do you got your action on, and what potentially could you win on a Thursday?
So let's take a look. I took Philadelphia today, and I parlayed them with the Wizards. So Philadelphia's given up 5.5 to Dallas. And then the Wizards are at Denver, and they're getting 7. But I know the Wizards' record looks bad, but over the past week or so, the Wizards have been playing really, really good. So I parlayed that. I took UD Mercy, your former alma mater, against Oral Roberts minus 10.5 today, because Robert Morris they've been absolutely crushing them the last 2 times they played. And I took Michigan minus 5.5.
Ooh, okay. How are you feeling about your odds and the chances of having some success on a Thursday?
Like I said, I mean, I definitely like the 76ers and the Wizards parlay. Like you said, Joel Embiid's been playing a little bit more second fiddle now, because Simmons has been playing a little more aggressive as of recent. So Joel hasn't really had one of those big games in the past few times out. Maybe this is the time that they turn it around, especially with, it looks like Porzingis is going to be out, and Kleber's listed as questionable. But I mean, I really wouldn't worry about Kleber versus Joel. So maybe this could be a game for him to get right. Maybe like a 30-15 sort of game for him. But like I said, and then like I said, the way Washington's been playing, and Denver's another one. Denver's decimated. I know they got Jokic and they got Murray, but still, the whole team, they've been playing really good as a whole. And I know, like, we could take a look at the Monday night game against the Lakers, where they came back and won outright. And I know the Lakers are banged up too, but I mean, everybody in some way right now is banged up. So if you can turn it around and get hot, like keep the momentum going, it looks like 7 looks like a big line for them to cover, especially with Denver having everybody out that they do.
Okay, good. I'm looking at the potential for you to be over 900 when this comes out, which is good. It's real good progress you're making. And I think what you're doing is you're making good, safe volume bets and nothing too crazy, just picking your spots as is. And I think really, I think you're starting to see. So give us a little bit of insight into your research. Are you finding that the second leg of an NBA back-to-back is pretty much straightforward, you know, an opportunity to probably make some moves? Because I felt like the Pistons on a back-to-back after playing Orlando tough and balling out, then playing the Pelicans, I thought there was a great opportunity for the Pistons to probably take the dive on that one. And they played strong for 3 quarters. And then the Pelicans behind Zion, who just is amazing, they got the W. So I thought that was a straight even opportunity for the money line, because it's real tough for these NBA players to really respond. But the Pistons are a little bit intriguing in that they rebound against teams that play before, that handle them, and they play better. But I thought on the second leg of a back-to-back, it was a good opportunity if you paid attention to the trends. And then seeing that Jeremy Grant wasn't going to play, I thought that that you have to pay attention. I believe in gambling, you have to pay attention to when certain players are out back-to-back. I think that would have been a great indicator of maybe a chance to be aggressive, to push your bankroll if you wanted to go up against the Pistons. And then sit back and don't watch, because the first 3 quarters you would have been gripping, because the Pistons, scrappy bunch.
Well, you know, and that's the thing with Jeremy Grant going out as late as he did in the day. Like if you caught if you caught the Pelicans early in the morning, like it was pretty much a steal. But the Pistons were getting 11.5 at the time at about 5 o'clock. So they actually would have covered the spread there, and they would have covered by 1.5 points had you taken them. So it all depended on when the action. That's another thing, dude, with the way the NBA is allowing like the teams to like say someone's out like literally like minutes before the game. Whereas like normally it's like you get like a half an hour before you're notified. Like if you're really going to be betting the game pre-game, you have to devote a lot of time to like paying attention and seeing what's going on. So, I mean, yeah, the Pistons like, and Saban Lee's been my guy the last couple of days in daily fantasy because he's been dirt cheap and he's had 30 points in back-to-back games almost. So, I mean, for a $3,000 guy, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're dipping your toes in some daily fantasy stuff. How you doing there?
Daily fantasy is more. I do the smaller buy-ins, like anywhere from like a quarter to like $5, because that to me is like the lottery. Like, and that involves more research, and you really need to have a lot of like computer programming at your disposal to really try and start predicting like the variability in like the lineups and stuff. And a deep bankroll would help too, because if you're only putting a lineup or two in, like you're not going to want to play in those 20 entries or the 150 entry games, because you're going to get smacked around. There's literally all these data scientists are like, that's what they're doing. They're basically building models, getting all the data that they can, and then trying to optimize their best 150 lineups and just do mass entries. So,
all right, for the Pistons on Friday when this podcast drops, 8 o'clock at home against the Kings. What do you think?
The Kings have been slumping. Like I said, if Grant's back, it'll definitely help. It's funny you say that because the Knicks are going up against them on Thursday night. I actually am taking Julius Randle. I think Julius Randle had a pretty big game against them earlier in the year. I think Julius Randle is going to have a decent game from a scoring and rebounding perspective, because the Kings aren't a really big team. So if the Pistons come out and keep playing the way they have, they just got to finish, man.
Absolutely. And I think that I like Tuesday, maybe an opportunity to push. They go on the road against the Raptors. I think there's a strong chance of probably going to take a dive on that one. And then Sunday might be tough at home. 8 o'clock game, Sunday the 28th. They take on the Knicks at home. That's kind of two teams that are kind of like in the same boat. So I would stay away from that one. I think the Pistons-Raptors might be the next one where you could maybe make a play.
Yeah. I definitely want to see the line. I want to see how Lowry's doing. Van Fleet's been playing pretty good, like you said. I mean, but once again, it's hard, man. The Pistons come out, I mean, you can say this about them for their entire existence. Like they just put scrappy teams out on the floor like all the time.
They do, and I think people are definitely impressed with Saban Lee. They like what they've been seeing in regards to the squad and how they've been performing. So I'm really impressed with what I've seen from the Pistons. A tough bet, too. I think they made, am I right? Am I accurate in that they made a late three to cover the spread, and they got it within 10, right? And I think that was a bad beat if you had bet the Pelicans to cover the spread. They were up until the final shot, right? Bad beat?
Yeah, I believe so. I'm going to actually go back and look at the play-by-play real quick because it'll have the last play.
I'm almost certain it was because people were talking about it like, oh, the Pelicans were going to cover, and then a meaningless.
Yep, Josh Jackson made a 3-pointer with 8.2 left.
Bad beat, my friend, and that's how it went down. Like I said, spreads are tough, man. You got to stick with the money line, just bet, have fun, and enjoy the in-game live betting. I'm glad you're not talking to me about soccer, man. That's cool.
Yeah, you know what? I want to start. That's something else. Like, there's just literally you can bet NASCAR. You can bet like they have rugby on here. Like, there's so much to do. Like, I'm hoping that as soon as I get done with this machine learning part of my data science certification program, that I'm actually going to be able to build my own model and really start diving into like all these sports. Because once I get like the easy ones down, like football, basketball, and then maybe even like baseball, if I can understand the dynamics of those, I should be able to pretty easily just make some different fits to what I'm trying to predict. And then I should start being able to like basically look at everything. So
do you have a play of the week for the weekend? Something that you think is really juicy, really enticing? I know you've been getting into golf, but that's a little bit crazy.
Well, you know what? Actually, it's funny you say that because I have been getting into golf, and like this Victor Hovland kid, Victor's been playing really, really good. So I mean, unfortunately, I believe the golf started already. I did put in a few bets. Me and a buddy have been talking about it because he does some analytics on his own, and he's doing the daily fantasy. But yeah, Victor Hovland might be something you want to look at. Just throw a couple bucks on it. I mean, that's the thing. I'm not doing anything massive like in that regards. I'm just trying to because you can get laid some pretty big odds, especially like they've already got all the Masters bets out, and there's a couple guys at plus 10,000. You bet $20, you win you can win like $2,000, $20. So
did you take advantage of did you take advantage of Homa at all last week? A lot of people did.
No, unfortunately that I did not. I went who did I go with? I actually did I try and ride Spieth again because I thought he might have a chance? I probably did, but well, I'll tell you right now, game I'm looking at for Saturday is the Wizards playing the Timberwolves. I know Towns is back, but with that coaching change and they've been playing a little better, the Wizards against against the Timberwolves is something I'd look at. And then let's see. And then Brooklyn and the Mavs. Brooklyn's been just on fire and they don't even have Durant. So that's going to be interesting. If that game's anything less than 5 there, I doubt it. I doubt it will be, but I definitely like to take a look at Brooklyn.
Nice. Make sure you follow the network at Detroit Podcast as we follow along with Phil's gambling journey. Doing a good job. Basically an even week, a little bit up, maybe $40 to $50, over 900, putting some more money back in action as we share his journey. Definitely make sure you pay attention each and every week by hitting that subscribe button, and Phil gives solid plays. And it's fun too, just to kind of make it interesting to watch some basketball as we progress. Now, we'll maybe see how Phil does in the baseball world. Let's see. He's been throwing action on poker, throwing action on golf and college basketball, the NBA. Let's see if he dips his toe into baseball as spring training starts, and see about taking a bunch of Detroit Tigers losses for some wins here too. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, absolutely. Are you going to?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Tigers. I'd probably be betting on the Tigers and the Dodgers just on the money line, and I could probably get away with if I just flat out bet them all year. I could probably end up just winning probably a couple grand if I was just betting $10. I think so. I might give it a whirl.
All right. Make sure you tune into the next episode of Wanna Bet each and every Friday. Thanks, Phil.
John, have a good one, buddy.